Hey, this is Penny Dreadful, and welcome back to the Masters of the Universe Classics Wishlist series. Today, I'm going to count down my top 10 Club Grayskull Filmation variants. Now, if I had to pick, I'd definitely say that Collector's Choice is my preference because of its sheer scope and diversity. But I do also love Club Grayskull. I mean, how could I not? It's colorful, the characters look like they jumped right off the TV screen. But I feel that this line should really be for characters who have already been made in Collector's Choice first and released with the extra sort of classicized details, as they say. For example, if you look at Plundor, you'll see what I mean. It has that extra fur detailing and the shading. When Classics split into the two branches of Collector's Choice and Club Grayskull, the Club Grayskull figures were simply pure Filmation variants of characters that had already been released in the main Classics line, which I think is as it should be and what most people wanted. But somewhere along the way, unique characters like Driel, Uncle Montork, and Katrina started getting shifted over from Collector's Choice and released in Club Grayskull first. I don't know why this happened. Ideally, Club Grayskull should be the pure Filmation variants with stripped down detailing and brighter colors of those existing Classics figures that have the extra classicization, I guess. And for the most part, that is what we got in the line. But I feel we're still missing some really important characters from that Filmation lineup, so let's jump into it. It's gonna be wicked awesome, guy. Check it out. Number 10, Katra. This one almost didn't make it in because the existing Classics Katra is very close to how she looks in the cartoon. But you know, the more I thought about it, the more I really wanted a pure Filmation version with that vivid red color of her outfit and the blue tinted hair. She was such a prominent character in the show and certainly in the Princess of Power mythology. I mean, the Club Grayskull horde would just feel really very incomplete without Katra. And yeah, you can take your Classics version and pose it with your Club Grayskull figures. And it looks good, but I think it just needs to be a little more cartoony, a little bit more colorful to make it look like it would really work 100%. Here's a really cool custom by Tom O'Callahan that shows how Katra might look in the full-on Filmation color scheme. Very cool stuff. Number 9, Mossman. Now this is one I didn't know I wanted until I saw the Eternal Customs version of him. His look in the Filmation show is just distinct enough from the vintage figure, and if they released him unflocked with the sort of sculpted foliage on his body, it'd really make him stand out. Sort of like they did with the Filmation Grizzlor that they released in Club Grayskull. Check out this awesome version from Eternal Customs. This is great. You'll be seeing a lot of Eternal Customs in this video, by the way. Look up his page on Facebook. It's awesome. He has done a ton of different Filmation customs. And he also has a Shapeways store where you can buy conversion kits for a lot of figures. Number 8, Bo. Now, I really would love a pure, unclassicized Filmation Bo. The Classics figure is genius, and the Four Horsemen cranked it up to 11 with that figure. It's amazing. But you know, for Club Grayskull, it's all about that pure animated version of the character, and Bo is such a colorful character that I think he would look great in Club Grayskull standing alongside She-Ra. Here's the Eternal Customs version, which again shows how great this character can look in that style. Number 7, Princess Adora. I almost didn't include this one because the Classics version from 2010 is so close to the Filmation one that it blends in pretty well with the Club Grayskull figures if you wanted to pose her with them. But Adora is obviously such an important character, and as this Eternal Customs version shows, a pure Filmation version of Adora would have much more vivid colors, with that red tunic and the very blonde yellow hair to match up better with the Prince Adam Club Grayskull figure. Number 6, Whiplash. Whiplash had a very distinct facial design in the show, which looked really different from his vintage toy. If you compare the two side by side, he also had some really memorable moments in the cartoon, and I think he'd look really good as a Club Grayskull figure. Again, here's the Eternal Customs version of Whiplash. Look at that jawline. It's just it looks just like the cartoon. It's great. Number 5, Leech. This is an important figure. It's an essential figure in my and many other people's opinions. He's just a classic member of the Horde, and one of the big missing ones from Club Grayskull, and I think most noteworthy, and the reason I place him so high, is that his Filmation counterpart looks very distinct from the vintage toy. The Classics version was modeled on the vintage toy, so a Club Grayskull pure Filmation version with those big lips and the lighter green color, that kind of mint green color, would just be an ideal release for a Club Grayskull figure. Here's, again, the awesome Eternal Customs version of Leech. Number 4, Frosta. Okay, so when Mattel released their Frosta figure in the Classics line, I was really happy to get her in my collection, and I'm still happy that I have her, but here we're supposed to have this ice princess from the Kingdom of Snows, an extremely popular, memorable character, and the whites of her outfit were gray. I don't know what they were thinking. They didn't go with pure white. They went with this gray color. They gave her this dark blue translucent hair, which is interesting, but wasn't exactly accurate to any source material. And then to top it off, she had this mediocre paint job in the face, and she even had reversed forearms. It's, acceptable, I guess, but I want a pure Filmation accurate Frosta. That's the way to go here, and Club Grayskull would be the perfect outlet to get a successful Frosta. And here, speaking of a successful Frosta, here's an amazing custom Frosta head, which was done by the very talented Alessandra Fucarino. Alessandra is an artist and customizer, and she's worked on the brand officially for things like the BCI DVDs. She's extremely talented, and I would love a Club Grayskull Frosta with a head that looks just like this, with the brilliant whites on the outfit too, instead of that gray color they use. This is absolutely needed. You can find Alessandra on Facebook, and she does offer different heads for different characters. Number 3, Orko. Okay. I can already hear a lot of people watching this and saying, but the Classics Orko is perfect, we don't need another one. You know what? You're wrong. You're wrong. The 4 Horsemen sculpt is 100% accurate. It is right on the money. The Horsemen sculpted a perfect Orko for Classics, but the color is wrong. Somebody at Mattel decided that Orko needed to be more edgy or something, and they made the decision to have his robe painted in this dark maroon color. It's just way too dark. It's not accurate. If you look at Orko's robe in the show, it's actually more like a fuchsia color. In fact, for all its faults, the vintage Orko figure from the Masters of the Universe line is actually pretty accurate when it comes to the color. The Classics one is not. So this Club Grayskull version of Orko would be just a simple repaint of the existing Classics Orko. He could come in a 2-pack with my next choice. Number 2, Cringer. We absolutely need an articulated, regular-sized Filmation Cringer. Now, I love that we got him in Classics. Finally. He was a big want for me when I was a kid. I really wanted a Cringer figure. He's one of my favorite characters, along with Orko. What can I say? I like the funny characters. I love Prince Adam, too. Those 3 were like my favorite comedy team as a kid. Now, Battle Cat with no armor was my Cringer, like he was for many of us when we were kids. But that didn't really cut it. I mean, he looked pretty ferocious for Cringer. Classics finally scratched that itch, but the Classics Cringer is a little on the small side, and he only has like 2 points of articulation at the head and the tail. What we need is a fully articulated, regular-sized version for Club Grayskull. And this is kind of cheating because I'm going to sneak in another character here, sort of, kind of. But I wouldn't say no to Club Grayskull Battle Cat either, with a brighter red saddle and the sort of lighter-colored beard or muzzle and the yellow eyes. I would love a Filmation Battle Cat. Number 1, Ramman. Yeah, this is a big hole in the Club Grayskull lineup. Ramman was a prominent supporting character in the Filmation cartoon, and he appeared in many memorable episodes and had many key moments in the He-Man show. I'd say outside of the sort of the core main cast of characters, that Ramman, along with Stratos, who we did get, is definitely one that needed to be made in the line. He'd look significantly different from the Classics version, as we can see in this amazingly cool Eternal Customs figure, which, I might add, was brilliantly made by simply repainting a vintage Ramman figure. Now, of course, this lacks the articulation of the standard Club Grayskull figures, but Eternal Customs did a Photoshop mock-up of what he would look like with articulation in Club Grayskull. This really shows you, too, that the vintage Ramman is almost dead on the cartoon version. It just needs a new paint job. Speaking of which, if anybody's an awesome painter and wants to do this for me, I have a Ramman that I can send to you, and I would love to pay you a few bucks to help me out with doing a Club Grayskull Ramman custom for me. Eternal Customs. I know you don't do commissions, but come on. Okay, so I also have some honorable mentions, because honorable mentions are fun, and I want to include these. Filmation Count Marzo. Okay, I know a lot of you just shut the video off. The rest of you that are still sticking around, Count Marzo is awesome. A lot of people hate this sort of Elizabethan look of Count Marzo from Filmation, but he was an awesome and memorable recurring villain in the He-Man cartoon, and he's very distinct from his 2000X version. The 2000X version did get released in the Classics line, so it would be fun to get sort of the pure Filmation version, like we did with Evil Seed. This is a fun custom I found that kind of combines the two. But if they released him in Club Grayskull, he should be 100% Filmation, as we can see in this design by artist and animator Tom Brisky from the Fush articles that were written by Brian Charles Rooney. I have so many honorable mentions. I'm just going to show you a bunch of pictures right now. I'm going to show you a bunch of Eternal Customs and images that show you some of these awesome characters that could be made in Club Grayskull. So, what are your preferred Club Grayskull variants? Sadly, Mattel stopped Super 7 from continuing Classics. How dare they? And the line was just getting better and better with Super 7, so I don't know what's going on. Maybe a little figure envy, I don't know. Both Collector's Choice and Club Grayskull branches of the family are just great. You can make a difference. Let Mattel know that you want more figures. I've gotten feedback, though, that calling hasn't proven to be the best means of getting through to Mattel. So here are some screens that I'm going to show you here that explain the best ways to get through and some different suggestions on outlets for figure release. PowerCon has had some awesome Club Grayskull exclusives actually. In 2018 we got several figures there, so how about some more? And Collector's Choice too. Alright, enough from me. Good journey.